So I've been trying to like formulate an analogy, right? And here's what I came up with. Some people love math. I don't understand those people. From what I understand, they love math because of the elegance of its predictability. It will give you the results, and if your results are not what they're supposed to be, it's because you just didn't put the right input in place. And if you input the right things, you're gonna get the right solution every time. That's just how math works. Of course, the analogy falls apart when you get into like quantum physics and irrational number. That, of course, like it's not that simple. From what I understand, people that love it because of its predictability. They see that as artful. I, for one, see that as the opposite of artful. There's no nuance. Where's the dance? Where's the asymmetry? You know, like I just have a hard time with it. But some people love it. Like if you say, I don't care if you're poor, rich, black or brown, West Coaster, East Coaster, Syrian, American, Muslim, Christian. If you got 2 eggs and you add 2 eggs, you got 4 eggs. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 don't care who wrote the 2s. Doesn't matter whose 2s they are. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 didn't do anything to equal 2 plus 2. That's just what it is. And we can have a discussion of the nature of 4. You can even be upset with 4. But 4 is just 2 plus 2. If you want to understand 4, you got to talk about 2 plus 2. Violence in our streets right now. Riots. There's not one, at least that I can think of, and by think of, I mean researched, violent eruptions within the inner city. Watts riot, Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles. They were all started because of police brutality and the subsequent injustice that followed. There's all of them. All of them were that. When you put 2 and 2 together, you get 4. And the discussion that I keep getting asked to talk about is riots. You want to talk about 4. I want to talk about 2 plus 2. You take police brutality, mix it with a long-standing history of injustice and racist practices, and no recourse to get justice because very institution that is supposed to exact justice for you is the one that's causing the injustice. The response is violence. It just has been. That's just 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. And here's what's funny to me, especially if you're an American. This isn't a hard concept because we are a violent culture. Your 3rd grade class, all the way to your 8th grade class, all the way to your 11th grade class, when you was doing U.S. history, country was founded out of violence. The statues you see, whenever you walk into a city, them is war heroes. What is the perfect picture of a patriot? Is a man with his rifle protecting his family. We entertain ourselves with violence. Movies are violent. Our heroes are violent. Our monuments are monuments to violence. We founded our country. Our nation's origin story is violence. We violently removed the people that were here first. We violently brought in a workforce called slavery. We that violently tore our country apart. Slavery was ended because of violence. I don't understand why don't you see the math? 2 plus 2 is 4. A continual amount of injustices just equal violence. So I have no interest in talking about 4. 4 is just the product of 2 plus 2. I'm interested in 2 plus 2. I'm interested in how do we get in front of that type of brutality? How do we deal with the idea that like we just have this like thing for violence? Where's a better origin story? What can we do? This is why I love about preemptive love, because we're talking about violence as a contagion. That violence is the virus. They're interconnected. I don't know what to tell you. It's 2 plus 2. Deep-seated racism always equals violence. Injustice always equals violence. People ask me, Prop, what's the solution? Well, if we all knew that, I guess we probably could have done that 500 years ago. I mean, the solution's easy. Just end racism. End injustice. Make the laws just for all people. What do you want me to say? But as we know, it's not that simple. Or actually, it is that simple, but it's very hard to do, very hard to execute. But I will say this. As horrible as 4 is, I've lived through 2 riots in Los Angeles. There are factions in our country that want us to go to war. They're called the Boogaloo, dark webs, they call 4chan, all these different like spaces in the internet where white supremacist groups are purposefully trying to start a war. And some would argue the war already started. These elements are in our culture. It's too late. It's there. It's the fruit of the very roots that we founded our nation on. It's just 2 plus 2. So my hope for all of us as those that wage peace is we don't shake our fists or shake our heads at 4. It's we get serious about 2 plus 2. That's all I'm asking. Let's just get serious about 2 plus 2.